The Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. As Jesus and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he cried out even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and said, "Call him here." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Immediately he regained his sight and followed him on the way. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. I wonder how long he had been sitting there. I wonder what stories or news or town gossip he had heard just sitting there, ignored and out of sight, but certainly not out of earshot. This beggar, this nobody, except curiously, he gets a name. Out of the dozens of healing stories in the Gospels, in only 2 of them does the person healed get a name. There's Lazarus. That one seems like kind of a big deal. And then there's Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, son of the honorable, or, in a bit of Aramaic wordplay, son of the unclean. Or maybe both. And Mark would have us find a person of honor, someone of significance, someone worth paying attention to where we'd least expect them. I wonder how he found out about Jesus. I wonder how he knew enough to know that Jesus was someone special. That it was this Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth, passing by, that compels him to shout out, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." A politically and religiously charged title, if ever there were one, coming from the one and only person in all of Mark's gospel to utter it, unashamedly proclaiming Jesus as the Messiah. I wonder how he felt being told to be quiet and shut up. I wonder how it felt to even more loudly and defiantly shout the second time, "Son of David, have mercy on me." I wonder how he felt in that split second of dead silence. Did it feel like an eternity when Jesus stood still before asking the crowd to call him over? I wonder how he felt hearing those words from people who never before acknowledged his existence, now urging him, "Take heart, get up. He is calling you." I wonder if he thought it was a trick, too good to be true. I wonder what it felt like when he was asked by Jesus what he wants, instead of what someone else thought he wanted. I wonder what it was like to immediately see again. Again, implying that he had seen before, but how long ago? No wonder he immediately follows Jesus on the way, disregarding Jesus' instructions to go as easily as he had thrown off his cloak and sprung to his feet moments before. There's no further mention of Bartimaeus in Mark's gospel or anywhere else, which means that he might have disappeared into the crowd as Jesus triumphantly enters Jerusalem in the very next scene. Or maybe he kept following. Maybe he was there until the end. Maybe he stayed in Jerusalem and was there in the crowd on the day of Pentecost. Maybe he was in the room where it happened, when the Holy Spirit showed up in tongues of fire. Maybe. For all we don't know about Bartimaeus, at least one thing is certain. Bartimaeus was changed. Having been so changed, he couldn't help but want to be a part of this, whatever this was. Having been so changed, he wanted to be a part of the movement that was doing the changing, the movement that was transforming everyone and everything around, the movement that was drawing this large crowd from Jericho through the Galilean countryside right into the heart of the holy city itself. Bartimaeus' faith had made him well. And Bartimaeus' faith, his complete and utter confidence in what Jesus could do, his daring courage that wouldn't be quiet, that wouldn't take no for an answer, compels him to follow and to take his place as a disciple. All throughout this central section of Mark's gospel, in these last few chapters, Jesus has been teaching the disciples, as we have heard, what it means to be a disciple and where it's going to lead. But Bartimaeus doesn't try to get in Jesus' way like Peter. He doesn't ask self-serving questions about greatness and glory like James and John. He doesn't for a second let what few possessions he has get in the way like the rich man, but instead throws off his cloak, quite possibly the only thing he owned, without a second thought. Bartimaeus shows us a kind of faith that is bold, a faith that is courageous, a faith that cries out and cries out even more loudly, a faith that compels him to follow because he knows and trusts in what Jesus is capable of. Take heart. Get up. He is calling you. Bartimaeus' faith is a Reformation kind of faith. A faith in a God who changes us, but doesn't stop there. Here is a faith active through love, as a particular theologian by the name of Martin Luther, maybe you've heard of him, might say. Here is a faith that compels us to love our neighbor as God through Christ has so loved us. A faith that compels us to change the world as God, by God's grace, has changed us. With the faith of Bartimaeus, we cry out for mercy, justice, and peace. With the faith of the reformers of every time and place who seek to make the church a more inclusive, more just, more love-filled place, we speak out and vote against unjust systems that oppress God's people. With the faith of the communion of saints, those around us and those before us, we keep on following on the way, trusting in the grace of a God who calls us and sees us, a God who changes us so that we can change the world.